Today, we're fortunate to get to talk to Emily Hudging Scherbring. Emily was an MHS alum, is an MHS alum, and also is my niece. So if you sense any bias in the interview, it's because I think she's pretty awesome, and that's just how it is. But anyway, thank you, Emily, for taking time to do this today. Um, if you don't mind, I'd like to just start out with you just sharing a little bit about your high school experience.
Sure. So I graduated MHS in 2004, so forever and a day ago. While I was in school, I focused pretty heavily on academics, like that. I just that was really important to me. But I was also on the golf team. Proud to say I was on the first ever girls golf team at
Yeah.
MHS. I was pretty terrible, but I was still part of the team. I had a lot of fun. That was my junior and senior year. I was on in band for the first 2 years, did marching band and pep band. And then I also did choir all 4 years. So Sophisticats for the first 3 years. And then I was in, show choir my senior year. So, yeah, other than that, I was in a few different clubs. Those are my primary activities.
Yeah, sure. Marching Wildcat Band is still a very big, strong part of Marion High School. Also, the choir program, madrigals, and all those things are still very, very integral. So from there, from 2004, May of 2004 to today, would you mind to walk us through your career path and just kind of share with us um, what that looked like for you?
Yeah. So that's been a chunk of time. I feel, Justin and my husband and I were talking about it the other night. It's like, it's been quite a while since I was in school, but I graduated and I went to the University of Illinois. And I was one of those kids you hear about. I changed my major a couple of times. I started out in English, studying English, and switched maybe I think to something else, but then ended up in speech communication, which I really liked. I took a speech class and really enjoyed it, so just switched my majors to that. And afterwards, I graduated, and the economy was not fantastic at the time. It's 2008.
Mm-hmm.
So combine that with not really being sure at the time. Full honesty, full disclosure. I'm not certain what I wanted to do at the time. I had a part-time job at a bank, and so I switched to full-time and worked for a while, and then took another pivoted again, and I graduated from U of I in 2008. So yeah, worked that summer, and then went to Eastern for a semester. I thought I wanted to go into teaching, so I took a bunch of English courses and a couple of secondary ed courses, and decided that maybe that wasn't necessarily for me. So I left Eastern and came back to the Champaign area, and I worked in a bank for a little over a year and decided to go back to grad school. So I went back to grad school at U of I and got my master's in human resources and human resource education, and during my master's degree program, I did an internship with Archer Daniels Midland over in Decatur
Mm-hmm.
in their HR training department. So I did that for pretty much the duration of my master's degree, and then graduated with my master's, I think, in December of 2011, and got my first full-time human resources job at a company in Champaign called Hobbyco, which was a really cool company. They manufactured and distributed radio controlled airplanes and helicopters and boats, and they had a whole hobby section too, where it was like all the Pinewood Derby cars and just different science models and things. So it was pretty fun company to work for. I worked there for about a little over a year, and then I got a job in HR at U of I. So I went to school there, loved it, decided I should work there too. So at U of I joined, my unit is called the National Center for Supercomputing Applications, or NCSA. And so we are a high performance computing center. I'm still working in HR there. Um, so this is a world brand new to me. My background in school is English and communications and human resources, and then I enter this world of computing and programming, and it is literally and figuratively a whole new language, and a lot way over my head. I just try to keep up with everybody, but it's really exciting. We do a lot of scientific computing, so we have one of the when we have the supercomputer Blue Waters, and at the time that it went live, it was one of the largest supercomputers at an academic institution in the country. And so scientists and researchers all over the world tap into our supercomputers to run simulations and conduct their research. So a lot of really cool and exciting things going on. They're running simulations of hurricanes and tornadoes and all sorts of inclement weather. We had a researcher who made a breakthrough discovery using our supercomputer to kind of look at the HIV virus, and actually found a point of intrusion that's a little more effective when they're treating HIV. So yeah, so really cool and exciting stuff. So that's
Yeah.
where I started out as an HR specialist there, and kind of worked my way up, and so now I lead the HR department for our unit.
Okay. So, on the day to day, when you're not sheltering in place, or what would you be doing with HR for this unit?
So HR, it seems to be to somebody who's not in HR, it seems pretty cut and dry, black and white. We do the hiring and firing, employee relations, which we do that, but it is so unpredictable from day to day. So my team and I joke around. It's like we have a list a mile long of things that we need to do every day, from onboarding new employees to processing. A lot of our employees are grant funded, so we get a lot of money from the National Science Foundation, but they're working on multiple different projects, so we're constantly changing and updating their funding sources. Um, let's see, I mentioned hiring and firing. It's a big part of it. Fortunately, more so the hiring than the firing. Human resources, a really important aspect of it too, is employee relations and employee engagement. So before COVID-19, our leadership, we have amazing leadership, and they're very supportive of, we call it a social committee. And so once a month we do a different social activity, and that's just as important as the day-to-day processing stuff.
Yeah.
Just
So
to,
it's like the parting planning committee from the office.
yeah. We have it might be sad, but we have a lot of office references in my office, which
That's a good office then. Yeah, that's a great place to work.
as long as I'm the HR person, so I say as long as I'm the Holly and not the Toby, then
Yeah, no one wants to be Toby.
no. Not at all. Although I feel for Toby sometimes, we do have to, we have that side where, we have the unpleasant duty of enforcing all these employment policies.
Mhm.
So yeah, I feel for Toby sometimes,
Yeah.
but
But in enforcing those policies, you are also the one that's kind of providing a safety net for your employees to make sure, like, you're giving them boundaries to keep them out of trouble, keep them safe, keep them on the straight and narrow, maybe.
yeah, the organization, okay. Yeah, because a lot of not many people have formal training in human resources, and so they're not aware of all those policies. And something as simple as going into an interview with a candidate and asking them where they're from or how old they are, so kind of just like where they went to school, just kind of standard chit chat, small talk, things like those, you're not supposed to bring up in an interview at all, because somebody could say you could take that information and use it to not hire somebody. You have these. They say you could be biased towards some of those things. So yeah, the HR people are pretty important to people to have in those situations, to say, really shouldn't be asking those questions. Actually, there's policy that says we shouldn't be doing this. So just trying to keep everybody happy and moving forward.
So what are the skill sets that you think are most valuable for someone in human resources or that will help them advance in that industry?
I think communication and interpersonal skills are incredibly important in human resources. HR, when you boil it down, is really all about customer service. So we're there to support our employees and to support the organization as a whole. So it's very much internal customer service. So making sure you're able to communicate with all of your stakeholders, understand what they're needing, anticipating their needs, and being proactive and being able to advise them on best processes. So communication, interpersonal skills are huge. I mean, a lot of the other skills that I think are important, attention to detail. You know, that's in a lot of jobs. Just making sure you're doing things correctly because we do have to follow so many different policies. We want to make sure we're following the policies as written. Um, Another thing that I'm always preaching to everybody on my team and everybody I talk to about HR is just being willing to learn. So, you know, people coming into the workforce brand new, most employers are going to be very understanding, you know, and we're not going to expect people graduating from college to know all there is to know about everything. But so what's really important is having a new employee come in and being a little humble and acknowledging they don't know all there is to know, but being coming in ready to learn, taking notes, paying attention, asking questions of their more senior colleagues. I think
That's
that's
I think that's a good lesson for students to take away from this. You know that you can be trained, but it's all about the attitude and the willingness to be trained.
definitely
I was talking to someone else the other day, and we kind of mentioned, you know, I think people are forgiving of mistakes if they know that you're trying. You know that someone will come alongside you. Okay, let's learn from this. You know, let me show you how this should have been done. But it's when you're not getting effort that people are a lot less forgiving about. You know, or if you're not concerned about the mistakes, then that's what gets you into trouble.
right. Yep. And that's exactly it. And you know, I would much rather see somebody come in and you know, if they make a mistake, own up to it, say, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and then you know, make an obvious effort to make sure that they don't do that again.
Yeah.
Like when people make the same mistake 20 times, it gets a little frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can relate to that as a teacher. Hmm.
I've made plenty.
You know,
It's just
everybody, that's the thing, everybody makes mistakes. But when it's like the same mistake over and over, then you start questioning, like, are they paying attention? Are they, you know, like, are they trainable? That kind of thing. So for
right.
sure. So if you were giving advice to my students, I primarily teach juniors and seniors, or if you were thinking back to when you were at Marion High School as a junior or a senior, what are the things that you think are important for them to take away as they are thinking about careers and their future?
Mhm. I wrote down a few things, just being
Good.
so. The very first thing that I wrote down that has served me really well, and I should have mentioned this when we were talking about skills, is to be resourceful. So, and that kind of goes along with making mistakes and acknowledging that you don't know everything there is to know. But you know, figure out how to learn those things. So know what resources are available around you and take advantage of those to try and figure things out and get things done. That served me pretty well, and people recognize that. You know, like you said, you're trying hard to figure something out or learn from a mistake. So just taking advantage of the resources around you. Um, Another thing, you know, I first started when we first started talking. I mentioned that I was pretty studious in school, so grades are very important. But looking back, you know, grades, yes, definitely important and should come first. But um, you know, I wish I could go back and tell myself to cut myself some slack, so and not take not take everything so seriously. So, have fun in high school. You're going to have plenty of time to worry about grades and then work and life and everything that comes down the road. So yeah, have fun in high school, enjoy it, study, do well in school, but have
Find that balance though, right?
right.
Yeah, I have to tell my AP kids that quite a bit. Like, listen, it's not the end of the world. For instance, one year during homecoming week, I held some kids after class and I said, "This is homecoming week." They had just gotten test results back from the week before. I said, I will reteach this if your grades are going to be fine. You should be enjoying homecoming week this week. I don't want you leaving this room upset about a test that is just a blip on the radar. Like, embrace this week and have fun with your friends, and we
Yeah.
will get back to worrying about economics next week.
Yes. 1 week in the grand scheme of time is not so. Yeah. I think that's really important, that balance, and really figuring out how to balance work and fun is really, it's key for college, and then key after, I mean, when you enter the working world, it's
For
huge.
sure. Yeah.
Um, Another thing that I wanted to mention too, I was kind of thinking through this. In work, a lot we talk about goal setting, not only in performance evaluations, but when people are working on assigned projects, you talk about the end goal, where you want to be, and then setting milestones along the way to reach those. And that's something that it takes a lot of practice, I'm finding out. And I did not start early. I didn't start even in grad school. Really just the last couple of years have I actually started sitting down and consciously thinking about, okay, what do I want to accomplish this year? How do I get there? So I think if I could go back and tell myself in high school, just set a couple of goals, personally and professionally. In high school, your long-term goal can be, I want to graduate with a certain GPA, and then just kind of write out milestones of how to achieve that goal. And it maybe seems a little silly, but I think it's so important to keep you focused. And along the way, even if you work towards one goal 1 year and you get halfway there and you decide, that's not my goal anymore, I actually want to go this way, at least you've spent that time building skills and moving in a path towards achieving something.
Yeah, it's like a growth mindset, like how am I going to grow myself this year? And like you said, even if you don't accomplish the goal, or if you pivot the goal, there you gain valuable skills or
Right.
information along the way, for sure.
Yep. Life experience, not wasted. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, those are really good points. I appreciate you sharing those with my students. The goal setting is something that I tried to start this school year with my student. Well, actually, the new year, when we started the new year, I had everybody take some time to set some goals. We didn't call it New Year's resolutions because this generation is not about New Year's resolutions. But we talked about goals, and I think that's a good thing to go back and revisit them. And it's neat. It has been neat to follow your career path. And I'm proud of you as your aunt. But also, I can't take any credit at all as a teacher at Marion High School, because I came in, I think, your senior year, I think.
Oh yeah, you weren't there for very long when I was.
Or anything, but you were already very studious and goal oriented. So I'm not going to be able to ride your coattails on this one and brag, other than this is my niece, so I'll do that.
I wish I'd had the chance to take a class.
Well, I thank you so much. And I appreciate you doing this. I know my students are going to enjoy hearing from you. And I look forward to seeing you in person at a family gathering here when things get back to normal.
Man, yeah, I hope that's soon.
Me too. All right. Take care. Thank